Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another Sunday Live. Hopefully, you guys enjoying the weekend so far, or what's left of it, and enjoyed your extra hour in bed. So, let me just set my windows up. So welcome to a live where you can, oops, wrong one. You can ask questions. I can hear myself in the background. About your ferry test or your driving test. Any questions at all, feel free to ask. But please put a Q semicolon. It makes life a lot easier for me to find it. And I've got issues here for some reason. I don't know why it's doing that. So let me just set these windows up. Hold on 1 second. Shrink that. Get that over here. And we should be good to go once I get this up. Right, so let me just get my comments window up to see if you guys are saying anything. And then I can say hello back. Shorten this one up. I don't see the point of doing tech checks if it still goes wrong when it goes live. All right, so welcome. I think I'm good. Right, let's just say hello to some of you that's here. Appreciate you guys turning up. Let's share this one. Dark Summer, welcome to you and good morning to you. First of all, I'm getting between 40 and 50. You're getting 48 out of 50 for last week. I also did 4 mock tests this morning and got 50. 249 on the others. This is my 5th attempt in the mock test. I'm not understanding that because you said it took 4 this morning. What do you mean it's your 5th attempt overall on the real test? Let me come back to that, Dark Summer. Let me just start it. I will give you some tips in a minute. I've got to do an overview anyway. But just explain, is that your 5th attempt as in the real test? But I don't understand what you mean by 5th attempt in the mock test. Because you said you took 4 this morning and you took some last week. Beverly, good morning to you. That Ibi, I've not seen your name before, so welcome to you. Clifford, I've not seen your name before, so welcome. Our first time here, you saying that? Been falling silently. I appreciate you breaking the silence, by the way, and saying good morning. Carl's, I've not seen you before, so good morning to you. Revice, good morning. Alabanji, I hope I'm saying that correct. Good morning, not seen your name before, so I'm seeing some new names here. Good morning and welcome. Good morning. Good morning. Aaron Johnson's family. Welcome to, I've not seen your name before, definitely, I don't think. So good morning to you. Good morning. Did my test first. Morning, I did my test last week, got 42 and 55. 42, 8 questions wrong. That's about 5 categories. You've got data now, so what I would do is, if you haven't done it already, is check the information on the paper that they gave you, look at the categories and go again, because like I said, you've got 8 questions wrong. That's about 5 categories, so you're not far off. You just got to restudy the categories you've got questions wrong in to bring that up to par. Ernestina, good morning to you. Got your test tomorrow. Wish you luck with that tomorrow. Please come back next week. Let us know how you get on. Thank you so much. I passed my favorite test. Congratulations on passing. Well done to you. $50 out of 50. Yeah. Well done to you. Congrats. Got the magical 50 and 65. So that's 75. That's a high score. Well done to you. Congrats. Thank you for, I've not seen your name before, so thank you for breaking the silence and being here and letting me know how you got on. I appreciate that. But I'm loving the 50 out of 50 though. 5th attempt in the real test tomorrow. So I forgot to put full stop. Right, 5th attempt tomorrow. Okay, let me deal with that a little bit later. I've got you starred, so I'll bring that up and I'll do the overview. Chidi, good morning. Gregory, good morning. First time here, so welcome to you, Gregory. And for all you newcomers, especially for those of you that are not saying anything, I know there's quite a few that watch. Let's put this seat down a little bit. That watch the videos and the channel and don't comment. So still appreciate you being there. Kalechi, good morning. First time live. So welcome to you as well. And it got, wow, you guys got tests tomorrow. There's lots of you. My test is on the 7th, ready to do aggressive studying. The question you got asked is why aggressive? Maybe you don't mean that literally, but yeah, I wouldn't do aggressive studying. That doesn't make sense. That's like cramming. Doesn't make sense. Blessings, good morning. Been falling silent again. Another silent follower. Appreciate that. All right, let me. Patricia, good morning. Good morning. God, there's lots of you here already. Okay. Juliet. Another silent follower. Thank you for breaking the silence. 47 out of 50 and 57 on your house as well done. Congratulations on passing. And I appreciate breaking the silence. All right, let me do a quick overview first because there's lots of you here and we're not even 10 minutes in. So I appreciate you guys. Or maybe the extra hour got you up early. I don't know. But yeah, let me do the overview first. Come out of this. Get rid of this first. And then do an overview. Right, so it's multiple choice. This is, again, for you guys, got test tomorrow as well. Overview, 50 questions you know from doing your mock test. It's made up of 14 different categories. If there's 10 of you in the room, I keep saying this every week, if there's 10 of you in the room, it's 10 different tests. So you have to be prepared. It's random questions. So those of you who got your tests tomorrow, it's a bit late now, but you want to be, for those of you who haven't got a test books or later on in the next months, that type of thing. There's 14 categories. You want to study all of 14 categories individually. Ideally, that's what you want to do to make sure your knowledge is strong. The questions on the apps are sampled questions. It doesn't make a difference which app you use. They're all sampled questions. So they're not the real questions on the test, but they are worded slightly differently on the real test. And there's going to be questions that you've never seen before. What you are looking for is safety, which I'll come to a little bit later on. So be prepared for that. Time, you have 57 minutes. So those of you got your test tomorrow, as a tip, take your time. 57 minutes is more than enough. If you studied properly, there's going to be questions that you automatically know what the answer to. I will still read all the question and read all the answers just in case, because some of the questions, some of the answers, they change the last 3 words, and those last 3 words make the sentence unsafe. So if you read the first 2/3, it sounds safe and you guys think, yep, tick that one. But if you read the last 3 words, sometimes you just switch those around and it changes that sentence to unsafe. So I would always read the question fully, even if you've got to read it 2 or 3 times, because sometimes there's clues in the question. This is the tips for you guys got to test tomorrow. And then read all the answers. It's obvious that the first one may be the correct one. Still read all the other 3 just in case with that one, but take your time. If you do feel stressed in there, what I would suggest you do is take a step back. What I mean by taking a step back, just lean back in your seat, just take a couple of deep breaths. The brain needs oxygen to breathe and to think clearly. If you are in a panic state, oh my God, this question I've never seen before, I don't understand it, and start freaking out and looking for an answer while you're freaking out, the brain's going to choose an answer just to get away from that situation, to go back in a calmer state. So you're better off taking some deep breaths, relax, and then looking for the answer. If you still can't find it because you're stressing out, flag it, move on. Because the way that I'll explain to the people in the boot camp when we do test day prep is, if you're flagging 3 or 4 and you're competent with other 46, you're passing anyway. So it makes no difference with the flagged ones. But obviously if you're flagging 9, 10 questions, you need to get more of the flagged ones right, because if you get all the flagged ones wrong, then it's going to be obviously a fail. So I would always just flag it, go back, because if you only flag 2 or 3, then you're not really got much to worry about as long as you're confident with the other 47, 48. So take your time. Hazard perception is 14 videos, 13 of them a single hazard. One of them's got a double, 2 5s. They're all CGIs when you go for the tests. On the apps, there's some real life clips which aren't very clear. The timing's gone off for some reason on the apps. But on the real day, it's just CGI. It's just a mouse. There's no cursor. You just sit back and just click the mouse when you see the problem. Go for a 2-click method, which I'll demonstrate at the end of the 20-question mock test. And based on feedback with my students that go for the theory test when they're giving their feedback, the hazard perception on the real test is slightly slower, but obviously it's on a bigger screen as well, and it's crystal clear because they're all CGIs. And what you're looking for in terms of answers, you're looking for a safe outcome in any given situation they give you on the question. That's what you were looking for. If it's got the word safe, safety, safe, safer in the answer, you have to shortlist it as a possible correct answer. It doesn't always work, but if it comes up on the mock test, I'll try to show you on here. But if it's got those type of words in there, you have to shortlist as a possible. But if it has the phrase, if it's safe to do so, that's always going to be the correct answer. As instructors, that's what we say a lot. If it's safe to do so, X, do X. If it's safe to do so, do Y. So if it's got the phrase, if it's safe to do so, that answer is always correct. But if it's got the word safe, safety, safely, safer in it, you have to shortlist it as a possible correct answer. If it's not a safe outcome they're looking for a controlled outcome, which is normally your motorway questions and your first aid questions. So that is what I would say to you guys taking a test tomorrow. To add to that, for those of you taking tests tomorrow, arrive early. You're supposed to be there 15 minutes beforehand. I would get there about half an hour before. That way you're not rushing about traffic, stressing and worrying. When you get there, if you do arrive half an hour early, don't sit outside doing a last minute mock test, because if the result doesn't go the way you plan on the mock test, it's going to start to put more doubts in your mind. So do not do mock tests on the way there. Do not do mock tests when you're outside waiting, because if you're not ready at this point, doing the mock test last minute ain't going to change anything. But if you do arrive early, go in, introduce yourself, say, look, I'm here for my test. It's half an hour from now, blah, 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 whatever it is the time you arrive. If they've got a spare seat, they will get you in early because they don't want empty seats. It's an hour, 20 minutes altogether. It's 57 minutes for your questions. You watch a 3-minute video, which takes up to an hour. 3-minute videos for the hazard perception, which takes you up to the hour. And then it's 20 minutes for your hazard perception in terms of it just runs and runs. No one takes that full time. So go in, introduce yourself. If they've got a spare seat to get you in early, you can get in early. But I repeat, I wouldn't be doing last minute mock tests. It doesn't make sense at this point. Your brain's not going to take that information anyway. And as I said, if you fail a mock test that you've just taken, you're going to start panicking even more. So that's what I would do in there. Make sure you drink a lot of water on the way to the test center, because you can't take water in there with you. You can't take anything in there with you. They take their security kind of seriously. And I would also travel light. Don't take bags and stuff that you don't need, because you have to lock all of it in the locker anyway. So don't travel with stuff you don't need. Just travel with yourself, your license, and any other bits and pieces that you do need with that. So that's my tips for you guys on the day. But just stay calm as much as you possibly can. Right, let me just catch up with you guys with the comments. Sammy Travels, good morning. Tuesday, so you got yours on Tuesday. Lots of you got tests coming up this week, technically. I wish you best of luck with that tomorrow. Well, whenever you got your test coming up this week, I wish you guys the best of luck with that. But please come back next week and let us know how you got on and share your experience so other people can learn from it. Did my first test on Wednesday, scored 41 multiple choice. 6th of November, which is week after next. Thanks for all you do. Thank you for the words, by the way. 41, so that's 9 questions short. Again, that's going to be 5 to 6 categories, and you got a test on 6th of November, which is a week and a half. As long as you put the studying, then it's worthwhile. Start with the categories that you got wrong. That's the first thing I would do. But 9 questions wrong. 6th of November. Got time, providing you put the work in. And hopefully the result is different next time. I have 58 has perception. That's sorted. Don't neglect it. They'll still keep your eye in by practicing. But obviously it's the multiple choice you want to work on. Pass the theory test at attempt. It doesn't say what attempt. But thank you for letting me know that you passed. 46.69 out of 75. Wow, that's really high. Congratulations on passing. And again, I've not seen your name before, so I appreciate you coming to the live to let me know how you got on. Omoti, hopefully I'm saying that correct. Pass last week. Congratulations on passing again. Thank you for coming to the live. Let me know how you got on. I can imagine you're so happy. What are you doing now? Driving lessons or your driving test? Looking to book a driving test if you can find one. You're welcome. Again, I don't think I've seen your name before, so welcome here. All right, let me, there's lots of you just missing out. 42, so the 8 questions wrong. 64 has perception fine on my second attempt. If that's your second attempt, right, you've got data, so you've got data from 2 tests. What I'll do is put the paperwork side by side and see if there's a common denominator of categories on both tests. If they're different, again, 42, 8 questions wrong, 5 or 6 categories. If both tests have different categories and none of them cross over, that's a lack of understanding. But if it's the same categories, then obviously just brush up on those categories. So that's what I would do, because it's your second attempt and you're 8 questions short. It'd be interesting what you got in your first one. All right, let me do the 20 question. That's why you guys are here rather than me keep going. I'll catch up with the comments. I'll keep them coming in. All right, let's share my screen. Right, for those, let me get my cursor up as well. So you can see where I'm going to be pointing. Right, so those of you that are new, read the question first. What color are the reflective studs along the left-hand edge of the motorway? I would always suggest you read the question. Maybe read it, especially if it's got a lot of words, because there's clues. There's a clue in there as well, which I'll show you. There's clues in the question. You just have to be calm enough to work out what that clue is. So question number is 1. If you think it's, just move that, put it back down. If you think the answer to this question is, this would be A, this would be B, this would be C, this would be D. So if you think it's A, please put the question number and then A1A in your comment section. The reason why I want you to put the question number, because there's a delay between me and YouTube and you and YouTube. So I want to make sure every time I show it on screen, it's related to the question we're on. So if you don't type the question number, it won't get shown. You've taken effort to type it. I like to take the effort to show it as well. So as I said, there's clues in the question. Sometimes there's actually a clue in there as well, which I'll break it down for you in a second. Rolly's journey saying just tips. I would say do not cram or memorize, but rather understand. Yeah, I would say that all the time in my videos. Memorizing is a big mistake. Don't get me wrong, there's some people who do cram because there's messages on YouTube, and there's some people who memorize answers and they get lucky on the day the questions do come up that they've memorized, kind of thing, kind of similar to the way it is worded on the app. The problem with that though, when you move on to your driving lessons, it's going to fall down because the foundation's weak. So it's going to cost you one way or the other. Whether it's going to cost you extra for another theory test because you failed it, or it's going to cost you more driving lessons because your instructor is going to have to explain stuff that you should already know, which means you're parked up at the side of the road and not driving the way you should be driving. That makes sense. So either way is going to cost you. Worst case, it costs you on the day of a driving test, which means it's going to cost you another test fee, plus God knows what the waiting time is for another test. I would do the work up front because you are going to use it for your driving lessons. All my questions came from the app. However, they were reworded. Again, in a way, you got lucky there. So the questions came from the app, but just slightly different worded. And like I said, it's random. So another person may just get questions that not get all the questions, but they may get 3 or 4 that they have never, ever seen before. So like I said, it's random, but you got lucky there in the sense it was questions from the app, just worded differently. But the way you pull it before in your previous statement, you understood it, which means it makes no difference how they word it. You understand it, which gave you the result you wanted, a pass. Passed my third test on the 15th of this month. 50 out of 50. Well done to you. Blessings. And 55 out of 75. Thank you for all your videos and tips. Cheers. You are welcome. All right, let me catch up with these guys. 1A. Just wonder 1A. I'll come back to your comments in a second. You're going for C. Oh, got an A there. Green. What's green? A, that's A. Going for red. Guys, lots on time. 86 of you here. Wow. I appreciate you guys being there, to be fair. C is the common answer. Right, let me break this down for you. What color the reflective studs? Most of you got it right, but a few of you got it wrong. But like I said, there's clues in the question. What color the reflective studs along the left-hand edge? So let me get this up first. Oh, wrong side. Get it up here. Right. The clue is here, left-hand edge. So they on the questions on the real test, they'll give you the color or the destination or the location of the stars they're talking about. So either the color or the destination where it is. So the clue here is left-hand edge. So all you got to do now is go to the word marked way, isolate these 3 letters, sorry, R, W, A. Because it's left, you go to the left one, hence R, hence Y, it's red. If it was in the middle lane, then you just go to the middle, which would be W, which would be Y, and then obviously if it was on the right hand side, then you go to the A and it would be amber. So that's how you work it out. You're leaving a safe gap as you follow a large vehicle. What should you do for car moves into this gap? Second time, Sophia's passed your test. Well done on passing. Congratulations. And I appreciate you turning up the second time to let me know how you got on. I am fine. How are you? That's the most important thing. Are you fine? I'm having another test tomorrow. I wish you luck with that. Like I said, all of you guys have got your test coming up this week. I wish you the best of luck with it. I studied all categories first, then do practice, then mock test. That's what I would suggest. Do the categories first. You can do mock tests on the individual categories just to make sure the knowledge is there as well. And then I would start doing mock tests, but cover the categories first. You can do mock tests on the individual category as well. So it's not just a case of going through the categories and then moving on to the next one. I would do the category and then do a mock test for that category, making sure the score is high, because obviously if the score is low, you're not taking that information in and then moving on. And then once you've done all of that, then move on to a mock test to make sure different questions being fired at you, so the knowledge is staying put. And if you use a 4-in-1 app that I recommend, Driving Test Success, it gives you your strongest category and weakest category. And if you do 3 or 4 mock tests and it's the same category coming up as a weakness, then that's the category you want to go and revisit. Let's just love, good morning and happy Sunday to you. Good morning. Another pass, 46 and 58. Well done to you. Congratulations on passing. Chidi, good morning to you. Well done. Congratulations on passing. Taiwan, good morning to you. You got data. The question is, how much did you get? And that would be your foundation, what you did next. If you got the 41s, 42s, then just study the categories. If you're getting 30s, you need to go back to basics and do for individual categories. $67 out of 75, well done. That's a high score, to be fair. Congratulations on passing. Right, number 2, let me catch up with these. Let me just do this because... I don't need to do that. Right, got 2, number 2. So I'm just trying to find the 2s. So, all right, here we go. Here's the first one. Just trying to find the 2s. And you're all going for A. So I've got to assume A is correct. All right, A dropped back further. Yeah, safest thing, just drop back. What's the maximum fine for driving or riding without insurance? Again, wish you luck tomorrow. Good morning to you, first of all. Wish you luck with that tomorrow. Good morning. Good morning. 42A questions wrong. Like I said, you got data. Just check the categories you got the questions wrong in and restudy. Got this 2 still coming through. I appreciate that. And congratulations on passing first attempt. 3, here's the first one. Remember, if you've got a question, type it into the comment section, but put a Q semicolon, can't find it because there's lots of comments coming through. Can the question have more? Not now. Back in the day, it used to be sometimes 2. They said to you, tick 2 answers, but on they've made it simply more simple. So it's always going to be 1 answer. If you don't read the question carefully, the question you so the answer you pick can sound like it's the right answer, but when you break it down, it doesn't lead to safety. But the simple answer to your question is it's only going to be 1 answer, because you're looking for the safest answer. I've got C on that. All right, we'll see. 1,000. It was never 1,000. I believe it was 5,000 for the old answer. Now it's unlimited for the new answer. You have to arrive on time for an appointment. How should you plan for the journey? All right, let me catch up with these comments. Bucky, I wish you. Our test is on Fridays this week as well. Yeah, our theory test class got theirs on Friday as well. So I wish you luck with that. That's your second attempt as well. Yeah, I wish you luck. T, good morning. First time joining. Welcome. Is that section finished? I'm not sure what you're talking about with that. Probably missed a comment before. I have my test on the 29th of October. Again, that's 2 days before. Was that Wednesday? So again, I wish you luck with that. Help me with what? How can I join your Zoom classes? That's the boot camp, which I'm winding down at the moment, because I'm doing another one, which is a 30-day study camp, which is slightly different. What I would do, I wouldn't join the boot camp because, like I said, I'm winding that down. In terms of the boot camp, I would look to do the study camp. It's still going to be over Zoom, but it's going to be more personal help directly from me, where I'm going to check on your progress weekly, daily in some cases. So I would wait for that. The waiting list doors should be open at the weekend. Fingers crossed, if I can get off my arse and do what I need to do. But the website's been updated with information. I just need to complete the website, which will be completed today. Once I've finished this, I'm going to jump on there, be completed. Yeah, I would wait for the 30-day study camp because, like I said, I'm winding the boot camp down and the Zoom classes are included in the study camp. I think the 30-day study camp is a lot better than the boot camp, so I'd wait for that. But you can check out the website. It's on the website at the moment, I believe. I think I did make it live. But if you still want to do the bootcamp before I close the doors on that, the link is in the description. That's the other way to join the bootcamp. Just click on the link of a video and it takes you straight to the sign up page. Sorry, official R27 48 out of 50. Congratulations. 63. Well done to you. I've not seen your name before, so welcome first and foremost. And thank you for breaking the silence on that. Again, passing the first attempt. Congratulations. All right, let's catch up with you guys for 4B4. Again, the majority of you come for B, so I've got to assume the majority is correct. Was the last question drop back further? Yeah, always drop back further. Leave that gap, safe gap. Hence why it was drop back further. Allow plenty of time for the trip. Allow plenty of time. You guys are typing it all out. Just type the question number and the answer. Save yourself the hassle. Amy, good morning and welcome. Hopefully you learned something and want to come back. There's lots of you here. There's over 100 of you here. Hence why there's lots of comments coming through. Right, 4B. Yeah, allow plenty of time for your journey. Don't drive in a rush. Remember, you're on 2 years probation, so the last thing you guys want to do is get caught speeding and get points on your license. When may you use hazard warning lights? I scored 40, 50, 47, 47. Right, so you've improved on the hazard perception, which is fine. And you got 40 on the first one. And 40 says 10 questions wrong, then 8 questions wrong. There's an improvement there. Yeah, put the paperwork side by side and see if there's a common denominator between the two. But like I said, if it's different, 8 questions wrong would be 5 categories at least, and 10 questions wrong would be about 7 categories. If there's different categories showing up on both tests, there's a lack of knowledge on that. I can't remember if you said you got another test booked, but that's where I would definitely start from. Cats, good morning to you. Soul and Style. I've not seen your name before, so welcome to you. Silent follower. There you go. 14. Oh, missed it by 1 and 55. So congratulations on passing, by the way. There you go. Thank you very much. Reading all the answers and understanding the questions before answering really helped. It does. I can't stress that enough. But thanks for sharing that. And congratulations on passing. BB. I've not seen your name before, so again, welcome and thank you for breaking that silence. And congratulations on passing. First time watching this live, I always watch the videos. Heaney, hopefully I'm saying that right. First time watching this live. So welcome to the live, by the way, and thank you for breaking the silence, but always watch the videos. Hopefully the videos are helping you out. Did second attempt on the theory and failed with only 1 question away from passing. That means you got 42. So that's 8 questions wrong. I wouldn't be thinking 1 question short. You want to be thinking 8 questions wrong. I did do a video on saying I've failed by 1. It's just the way the brain works. If you fail by 1, you only study to get the 1. You want to study to get the 8 questions that you missed out on. But hopefully you get it the next time round. Number 5. If I say all gone for C, so again, I have to assume the majority is correct. Still a good morning to you. Right, C. Again, if you break it, all of you got it right anyway. But again, for those of you who got tests coming up, this is what I can't stress enough. Read the questions carefully. Even though it's very short, the clue, hazard warning, and then you got hazard and the answer. So there's a connection. Again, sometimes there's a link between the question and the answer. So for those of you who got your tests this week, that's what you want to do. Break it down and see if there's clues that tally, and then go from there. I'm not saying it's going to always work, but at least you're breaking it down. And the brain can start to associate it. That makes sense. You're being overtaken by a long, heavily laden lorry. What should you do if it's taking a long time for it to overtake? Carl's C. Welcome. Yeah, I just like helping people, especially guys, you guys who's trying to do something with their, I won't say life, but you know what, make it better, get your license, move on to better things, become independent. As I mentioned earlier on, the link is in the description of the videos. I would hold off on the boot camp because I am winding it down from next month. I'm doing a 30-day study camp, which is, for me, in my eyes, is a lot better than the boot camp. because it gives you more flexibility, and you're going to be held accountable in terms of studying, because I am going to study and check your results on your mock test, and you're studying how you're studying week in, week out. So I would do that. But if you are desperate to do the boot camp, the link is in the description. And the study camp doors, I'm hoping to open it up next Sunday for the waiting list, that is, for next Sunday. And the study camp should be going live mid-November with that. But as I said, if you've got a test date coming up and want to do the boot camp, then the link is in the description. What's this? Hagar, not seen your name before, so again, welcome. First attempt, congratulations on passing, and you are welcome again. Thank you for being here and let me know how you got on. Appreciate that. Christopher, good morning, happy blessed Sundays to you all. Loving that, send that love to everybody, and happy blessed Sunday to you. Right, number 6. This is the first one. Oh, that's a 5. Sneaked in there. Most of you have gone for D. Not most, all of you have gone for D so far. So you all seem to be agreeing. Got slowed down on there. Let's see. Yeah, it's going to be safest option. Slow down. You're never going to win a battle with a lorry, so just slow down and let them get on with it. What should you do if a vehicle pulls out in front of you at a junction? Christopher, failed my first attempt, 42. So 8 questions wrong. And has a perception as well, 43. So you need 44. Right, let's deal with the questions first. 42, again, about 5 categories wrong. Check your paperwork. Got data, and then go for those categories. Has perception, if you've got in 43, again, check your paperwork. It will give you a breakdown of your scores. How many 5s, 4s that you've got, 3s that you've got. But if you've got 43, that means you've got lots of 1s, 2s, and maybe some 0s on that. And I would imagine, without seeing the paperwork, if you've got 43, you don't know where a hazard is, hence why you got 43. You're not understanding what makes it a hazard, hence why you got a low score. But like I said, you've got data now, so use that for improvements. I will do a demonstration of hazard perception after we do the 20 questions. Is there anyone actually still struggling with a hazard perception? Just type me in the comment section if you're still really struggling with a hazard perception. Got a D there. Right, B. And someone went for a D, I think it was. Swerve. Once you got swerve in the answer, that doesn't lead to safety. Believe it or not, this question, this is what I'm talking about with the theory test. This question is similar to the question previous with the lorry. Taking a long time to pass it, blah, 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 slow down. Slow down. It's just worded differently. It's the same question. Hence why it's the same answer with slow down. You're about to overtake a cyclist. Why should you leave them as much room as you would give to a car? The reason why I'm smiling because this comes up in the boot camp. We discussed this a lot. It comes up on a Wednesday. And a lot of people don't know why. I'm going to give you some more detail once you guys answer the question. Books. So your weaknesses are the same on both tests: road and traffic signs, rules of the road, safety margins. All right, so you know what your weaknesses are. Then what you want to do is re-study those. You can start your driving lessons anytime you want. The theory test is not stopping you from taking driving lessons. The theory test is stopping you from taking a driving test. I personally always recommend doing driving lessons alongside the theory test if you guys can afford it. Simple reason is the driving lessons reinforces the theory because you're using the theory, and the theory is going to make you understand. So the driving is going to make you understand the theory a lot more because, like I said, you are using it while you're driving. Hence, in this case, rookie, if you're taking driving lessons, road and traffic signs, you're seeing road and traffic signs all day long. Rules of the road, you're going to need to know rules of the road because you need to know who's got priority, blah, 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 and everything else. And then safety margins, which is this question, believe it or not, right here. In terms of safety margins with your lorries, safety margins with your cyclists. But like I said, if you guys can afford to do your driving lesson and theory test at the same time, I would highly recommend it. And not only that, once you pass your theory test, you're further down the line with the driving already. That means once you pass the theory, technically, you can go and book a driving test and do that. If you pass your theory without taking driving lessons, you've never driven before, at 2 hours a week, you're looking 6 to 8 months minimum to be ready if you're taking 2 hours per week, depending how fast you learn. So 6 to 8 months. And then the waiting time for a driving test, depending on what part of the country you're in, that's 4 to 6 months. So already now you're looking at a year. So you're in your second year of your theory test. And that's if you pass the driving test first time. And if you take a second attempt, your theory test could expire. So you've got to look on a time scale, look at the bigger picture, look at the end result rather than just, pass my theory test and then I look to take my driving test. 2 years seems like a long time, but it is not. Sorry, just 1 second. All right, semi-travel says me. All right, some of you are still struggling with hazard perception. Christopher says I'm still struggling with hazard perception. Okay, if you guys can, just type in the comment section, what are you struggling with? I know it can be hard to explain over text message, but let me know what you're struggling with, and again, can't say. And I try, if it's possible, I try to clear that up when I do the demonstration. I said driving lessons and the fair at the same time. Yeah, like I said, I would recommend doing that if you can afford it. Right, D is the answer. Right, you're about to overtake a cyclist. Why should you leave them as much room as you would give to a car? The cyclist may be unsettled if you pass too near them. which is true. But the other answer could be because they swerve. And other questions, why do cyclists swerve? And the answer is because of drains. The wheels, the back wheel especially, doesn't grip metal. So drains and manhole covers. And then for those of you taking driving lessons, this is why I was laughing because it's in the boot camp. We talk about it in a bit more detail. How much space should you give a cyclist? The answer is a meter. I ideally want to give a cyclist a meter. Reason why? Because drains are at the side of the road. So when they swerve to avoid the drain, they swerve in that meter clearance. And that's the reason why. And again, this is why I'm saying driving lessons and the ferry tally, because all of this information is discussed on driving lessons. You're waiting at a level crossing. What must you do if a train passes but the lights keep flashing? Because you've got a fast internet connection. I've just literally went up the page and come back down. You've already got your C coming in. Right, those of you type in the, I think it's about hazard perception. I'm not getting to read the comments. I'm going to come to those comments. So I'm not ignoring you, by the way. So I have seen the comments, and I will come to the comments in a minute about the hazard perception. But some of you guys have got fast fingers, so I've got to try and keep up with your answers. Got a D. Right. Where's the 9th question? This is the 9th question. Right, sorry. You guys went for Karen waiting. You've been tested with your patient and considerate driver. Someone went for D, park and investigate. Ask yourself why. You've got nothing to do with the trains. Which plate may appear with this road sign? Again, look at the image and then go for your options. Right now, let me get up with the comments. Victoria first. Not seen your name before, so welcome. Failed my first attempt, scored 41 in multiple choice and 54. You said failed my first. Okay. 41, 9 questions wrong. Again, study the categories. 54 has perceptions all right. Don't ignore it, but you need to work on the questions. That's the data they gave you from the paperwork. So just go do that and go again. Francis Chidi, good morning to you. 21st of November, you got quite a way to go, about 3 weeks, give or take. 7/14/21, 3.5 weeks. So you got plenty of time. A lot more lives. Ask any questions that you need to be asking, so I can send you in there nice and confident. That some teachers in my area, Cambridge, want you to pass ferry first before driving lessons. That's a weird way of doing it. If that's their choice, that's their choice. That doesn't make sense. I got a funny feeling because they got a waiting list of students who want to do driving lessons because driving instructors are tied up. They're really busy. I got a funny feeling that's their way of taking on students who can just do the driving and go for their driving test. But if that's their choice, I can't imagine all driving instructors are doing that. So you may need to search a little bit deeper. But if that's what they want, unfortunately, there's nothing you can do. Carl C, is it worth doing a block booking, please? I'm assuming this is driving lessons. Let me come back to that. That's a good question. And I'll give you my view on that. Right, I've just seen this. We're still on question 8. You look like you're slightly behind. Like I said, there's a delay between me and YouTube. You're on YouTube. I'm assuming that's what you're struggling with. Right, let's get to the tens. And again, all of you are agreeing on this. So it looks like it's an A. Yep, 10 already. There's a C there. And a B. Writing yours tomorrow. I wish you the best of luck with that, but please come back next week and share your experience. You guys are disagreeing on that. I got A, B's, and C's, I think it was. All right, first of all, triangles or warnings, that's a speed hump. So humps, hump bridge, soft verge. How do you get soft verge from this? Low. For those of you that went for C, how do you get low bridge? It's got no suggestion of height. So how do you get a low bridge from this one or soft verge from this one? This A and B are the common answers for this one, in my experience. And the way that I normally explain this, we did this Tuesday on the boot camp. Hump bridge has got a white bit in the middle, so it suggests you can go under as well as over. This you can only go over, so hence why it's A, humps in the road. What's likely to happen if you put too much oil in your engine? Yes, there is. And as I said, I'll do a demonstration towards the end. Not towards the end, after we do the questions. Hopefully I did that. Carl, is it worth doing a block book? And if you're talking about driving lessons, I would do a 2-hour lesson first to see if driving's for you, because driving is not for everybody. I know you guys want to drive, but what I mean by that, learning to drive isn't for everybody. It can be a nerve-wracking situation and people go into panic, anxiety, blah, blah, blah. So you want to do a 2-hour lesson first and see if it's for you. And then if it's for you, think about how you want to structure your 2-hour, your block bookings. The reason being is I do intensive courses and I do 20 hours. Some other people's driving 4 hours a day, 5 days, Monday to Friday. And some of them come to the lesson and they can't take the information because there's a lot of information being thrown at you. Not only do you have to take the information in, you have to try to apply that information as well. So intensive courses isn't for everybody. So what I would suggest you do, take 2 hours as an assessment lesson. So the instructor can give you some feedback. If it's for you, then you can now do block lessons, but see how you want to structure it. You don't have to do it all in one go. You can do 2 hours, 4 hours a week, 6 hours a week, 4 hours in one day, like my students do. So it can be structured, but structure it around your learning style. That's what I would suggest you do. But your instructor can guide you on that. Sammy Travel says, I get for 10 out of 10 one wrong. It keeps telling me, oh, that's massive, because if you're getting 0 on your 10, you're already minus 10 before you get going. And that's the reason why I cheated. I'll do 3 clicks and a few more just in case, because you don't know what hazard is. If you know what hazard is, you won't need to do 3 clicks and a few more just in case. That's the reason why. You don't know what a hazard is. But I'll show you what a hazard is a little bit later. Emmanuel, thanks so much. Myself on Friday, pass on Friday. First attempts. First of all, congratulations on passing. 44.57. 44. That's the teacher in me. I'm going to say it anyway. I know you passed your theories, but well done. I would brush up on, look at the 6 questions you got wrong. If it's road signs and rules of the road, I'll brush up on those as individual, because you're going to need that for your theory test. Obviously, if it's anything else, then fine. But if my students get 44, checking their paperwork to make sure that it's not road signs and rules of the road, because it's something you're going to need. but still, congratulations on passing. And we are on 11. Let's find 11. Yeah, it's a hump, speed hump, like a camel hump. And it's solid, so that's, you can only go over hump bridge. It suggests you can go under. And so there's a white bit in the middle on the hump bridge. For those of you that went for hump bridge on the previous question. Right, again, you guys are all agreeing on this, so it's all D's. All D's, too much oil, D. Yeah, it's as simple as that. Put too much, it's going to leak out, spill out. That's also a show me, tell me question for your driving test. Where would you expect to see these markers? That Linda, how many hours of lessons are recommended before one can book for a practical test? Everyone's different. People learn fast, people learn slow, people do it over a period of time. There's no right or wrong answer for that. You have to be, it's not about hours anyway, it's about being test standard. So there's no set hours on that, because like I said, everybody learns differently. So whether you're a slow learner, some people have learning disability, so it's going to take them slightly longer. It's reaching a standard, how much hours it takes, that's down to the individual. So your instructor can guide you on that. I'm struggling with tapping. Again, if you're struggling with tapping, that's because you don't know what a hazard is. And again, I will do a demonstration later on. 2 hours all the time. By the time you get going with 1 hour, especially if you can't drive in the early stages, the instructor picks you up and then drives you to a quiet place, normally within 10 to 15 minutes radius of where you live. So that's 15 minutes gone, plus the 15 minutes to drive back, so that's 30 minutes. And plus he's got to do a debrief and a recap. So technically you've 35, you're not driving for much in an hour. I would always do a 2 hour lesson, especially if you've got no driving experience. And hours, I won't say it's a waste of time, because obviously you are learning in the hour, but it's not productive as a 2 hour lesson is. And not only that, by the time you go for your driving test, you want to be doing 2 hours because it makes you mentally strong. The driving test only lasts for 40 minutes, but it feels like an hour and a half, 2 hours in terms of mental strain, pressure that you got to deal with. 12. So if you guys can afford it, I would always do 2 hour lessons and try to be consistent every 7 days where possible. If you take driving lessons on and off, you're always taking a step back, 2 steps back, 1 step forward. So it's going to cost you more in the long run. A 12C. Yes, very good vehicle. Which is the most vulnerable road user? (41 out of 50, 52). So I'm assuming you're telling me that you failed your test. Just 9 questions wrong. So again, that's going to be around about 6 categories. Again, studied paperwork 42. I think I've done this one already. 42. That's 8 questions. It's 40. Oh no. Right. Let's do this again. 41 out of 50, 42 out of 50. So I'm assuming that's 2 theory test fails and just questions only. And 1 improvement from the previous one. Again, put the paperwork side by side and see if there's a common denominator. If there is, then it makes your life a little bit easier. But if they're all different categories, you're back to square one in terms of restudying the categories. Congratulations on passing to you and your niece, by the way. Well done to both of you. 44 out of 50. Again, I would double check the categories. 44, still a low score, but I passed it, a pass. 62 is high, well done. 49, missed it by 1, the magical 50, 54. And I got, here we go, look, I got 0 in 2 clips. I was livid and happy at the same time. 2 zeros and still pass with a 54. And that's because, like I said, you know what a hazard is. So you're getting 5s and 4s on a regular. If you don't know what a hazard is, you run the risk of failing your hazard perception, especially if you get a 0. Because it's quite easy with the nerves going, you do get zeros on there. I had 41 more. Hazard perception's fine. Questions, studied the categories 41. That's 5 categories wrong, give or take. Yep, I totally agree with that. And let me come back to that. The comment you made on that, 13. It's like you all agreeing on this C. We're going for C. Yeah, motorcyclist. All day long. What should you do when you see these horse riders in front of you? I have exam in 10 days. What advice do you have for me? I have been following you for a long time and have watched all your videos. But let me pick up on what you've just said there, just in case you guys are saying and thinking the same thing. I've been watching you for a long time and I've watched all your videos. Just because, I'm not saying this is you, by the way, I'm just making a general comment. Just because you do mock test, answer all the questions on the mock test and watch videos, whether it's my channel or anybody else's channel, it doesn't mean to say you're going to pass. It's the videos that I do is not for you to watch them. It's for you to understand what I'm trying to say about understanding the questions, understanding the answers. I've got a lot of students who email me. I watched, similar to what you just said, I watch your videos. I've taken mock tests. I'm getting X out of X on the mock test, which is a pass, 48, 49s. And they go for the real test and fail it. And they fail drastically. They're getting 30 this and 30 that. The reason being because you're not understanding the questions. When you do apps, if you do a lot of questions on the apps, after a while, you just begin to memorize it. It's not deliberate. It's subconsciously because it's the same questions over and over. You start to memorize it. It's about understanding what the question's asking you. And that gives you the best chance of passing. So you can watch all my videos. It doesn't guarantee you're going to pass. You must try to understand the questions and understand the answers. Look for the clues like I'm giving you. If you're doing that, then you have a better chance of passing. If your test is in 10 days, what I will start to do now, if you haven't done it already, take a couple of mock tests, not back to back, take 3 mock tests, 3 to 5 mock tests, and then get a baseline score. But try to do it under test conditions. So at home, in a private room, at home in a room where it's quiet, and just do it. Take your time like it's the real test. Do 5 of those, but not to back to back. Take a break in between And I don't mean a 5-minute break either, 20 minutes, half an hour. Probably do 2 one day, 2 another day, and 1 on the third day or fourth day, whatever it is. And then you got a baseline score. If you're starting to average above 44, 45, you're pretty much good to go. But if you're averaging below that or failing 3 out of the 5, then you still need more work. But make sure you are understanding the question and understanding why the answer is correct, or understanding why the answer was wrong when you got it wrong. And hopefully that helps. But you got 10 days to put all that into practice. But like I said, just watching videos doesn't mean to say you're going to pass. You need to understand why the answer was correct, or understand why the answer was wrong. That's what most of you don't do. You get the question wrong, and just, I remember that for next time. And also, when you get an answer right, you need to understand why it was right as well, so the brain can start to put that into place. Believe it or not, this question, you guys are all gone for B. This question is the same as the lorry one. And I can't remember what the other one was, but all slow down. Same question, just worded differently. And that's what I mean by understanding. Once you see lorries, bus, cyclists, blah, 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 it's always going to be slowed down. Same answer. What's the purpose of these road markings? I appreciate the kind words. Yeah, I totally agree. Common sense does play a massive part on that. But understanding is key. It's key. Like I said, if you don't understand, you're going to struggle, especially when the questions were totally different to what you guys are used to. So when you're studying, you need to study to understand. And that's one of the reasons why I don't suggest, again, everybody's different, so you got to do you. A lot of people do an hour and a half studying at one time. I don't believe in that. I think 15, 20 minutes quality studying is better than an hour and a half of just studying. Going for D. Yeah, to allow children to see and be seen clearly when crossing the road. How can you reduce the chance of your car being broken into when leaving it unattended? C. Again, you guys are all agreeing on this one. All gone for B. C, gone for C. Ask yourself why you gone for C. Place your valuables on the floor. It's still on the floor to be seen if someone looks through. Taking it with you, there's nothing to see, so there's nothing to break in for. That's the reason why it's B. But like I said, you got to ask yourself why you're going for C. You're driving past a line of parked cars. What should you do if a ball bounces out into the road ahead? It's interesting. Today's Sunday. We are supposed to be in church. I don't know why this program was moved from Monday to Sunday. Does that mean Dorian isn't a Christian? First of all, you're here, so then you're not in church. Secondly, I am a Christian. And that's a long time. This has been going on for over a year before when I moved on a Monday, from a Monday to a Sunday. But like I said, you don't have to be here unless you're watching this from church. But have a blessed Sunday. Most of you are going for A. Going for a D. What's D? Oh, stop and wave children across to fetch the ball. You're not allowed to wave on your driving test. Once you wave and flash your lights on the driving test, it's game over. The exam's going to fail you. You won't know that until you get back. So you can't wave, you can't flash. So if you've got wave in your answer or flash your lights, other than it's a warning, it's over. Again, look at the. Let me do this so I can show you. Slow down. The ball's in your way. It's not even about slowing down for the child. It's slowing down because the ball's in the way. So it's just slowing down. And as instructors, we do have that saying, where there's a ball, there's a child. That's why it's this one. But it's never going to be stop and wave anyone across the road. What's the speed limit for a car towing a caravan on a dual carriageway? They're only trying to put their point of view across and not making anyone feel dumb. Don't take it personal. All advice and experience from somebody else is useful. Whether you want to take it on board or not, it's a different matter. But take advice from other students who's been there, done that. Whether they got 50 out of 50 is irrelevant. But yeah, don't take it personal. I don't think it was meant that way. Hopefully not. We've got a C, B. C. Again, cars can do. Again, you're doing a car theory test, so cars can do. It's a dual carriageway. Dual carriageway. Cars can do 70 miles an hour, and then when they start talking about towing and heavy goods vehicle, just drop it by 10. So know what you can do, which is 70. But now they're talking about towing and heavy goods vehicle. If they reword it differently, just drop it by 10 for the same road. Hence why it is 60 miles an hour. What light should you use when you're driving on a wet motorway and vehicles are throwing up surface spray? Some of you gone for B. dear. It didn't say 60. Congratulations on passing. I've not seen your name before, so again, thank you for breaking the silence and telling me that you passed. Appreciate that. Bruno, good morning. Good morning to you. Welcome to the channel, or the live session, first of all, not the channel. 68 out of 70 for 68. Wow. Blessings. Good morning. All right, 19C. Yeah, if it's a bog standard light question, it's always going to be dipped headlights. Always. Sometimes they can just drop the dipped part. This is on the real test, by the way. They can just say headlights. Dipped headlights and headlights on its own is the same thing. Same thing with parking lights and side lights are the same thing. Oops, don't know what did that. What should you do when you're driving along a road that has a series of road humps? People play nicely. You share an experience. Like I said, everyone likes to share the experience. I would suggest you guys learn from each other, especially the ones who have passed. Don't take it personal if they're putting their experiences in. Believe it or not, I still learn from you guys when I get the comments and feedback in the bootcamp. Hence why the bootcamp is being wind down, because a lot of people saying they can't make the times and dates, and now it's turned into a 30-day study camp. I don't take it personal. I use the information to fuel my drive. So don't take it personal. Here you go. Look, here's one. Let me get rid of that one first. Yeah, look. I think I've done this already, so I read it. I did read it already. Look, today's Sunday and we are supposed to be in church, blah, blah, blah. Don't know why this program was moved from Monday to Sunday. I used to do it on a Monday. This is over a year ago. More than a year ago, sure of it. Right, so does it mean I'm a Christian? Yes, I'm a Christian, but look at this. Please, what's the difference between a motorway and a dual carriageway? Still yet, you're still here asking me to explain the difference between a motorway and a carriageway. Now, I could have taken that first part personal, but still you're here on a Sunday asking me a question. So I'm going to do my Christian duty and I'm going to still answer it. The difference between a motorway and a dual carriageway is the right-hand lane. A motorway, a dual carriageway is the same thing. It has a crash barrier in the middle. That's why it's called a dual carriageway. It's got a crash barrier in the middle. Can't go on the other side. So it's two carriageways. But if they ask you the difference between the two, it's the right-hand lane. The right-hand lane for a motorway is only for overtaking. You can only overtake on the motorway. For dual carriageways, for overtaking and turning right. So you guys have gone for A. It's a Sunday. Yeah, exactly. Right, A is what you guys are going for. Yep. All right, so let me just go through this every week. And this is why I was saying earlier on, appreciate it. So let me just get my iPad open. Shit, iPad. Where are you? Right, so I was saying earlier on about trying to take driving lessons along with the theory test. The reason for that is this, as you can see, is a driving test report sheet. When you take your driving test, pass or fail, you'll get a copy of this. And what we just did is obviously the theory test. So box 17 is where your theory is for the driving examiner's point of view. So traffic lights, traffic signs, road markings, traffic lights, traffic controls, other road users. So let me break down the theory test for you. Share screen. So this was a 20 question mock test. Obviously, you're doing a 50 question mock test when the time comes. So vehicle, remember I said it's made up of 14 categories. So they're giving us 9 categories for a 20 question mock test. So 3 vehicle handling, 1 other types of vehicles, 1 documents, 3 safety in your vehicle, 2 hazard awareness, 2 attitude, 5 vulnerable road users, 2 rules of the road, and 1 safety margin. So no road signs in there. So going back to this, so like I said, as you're driving around, the examiner's not asking any questions. He knows you passed the theory test. You are going to apply it to situations like this. And when we had the school sign, what's the school sign kept for? That on your driving test, you get parked up on the left a minimum 4 times. And he's making sure you do not park on single yellows, red lines, bus lanes, bus stops, and your school markings. And if you look across the box 25, position normal stops, he's working out where you can park. So when he says to you park at somewhere safe, can be on the left, you're parking up legally, and that's the box that would get marked in. So hopefully you can see why the theory test is linked to the driving linked to the theory test. I repeat, if you can, take your driving lessons while you're studying for the theory test. Can you pass the theory without taking the driving test? Of course you can, but it does help to reinforce it. And like I said, you're further down the line. So if it takes you 2 months to pass the theory test, you're 2 months down the line with the driving as well. So hazard perception. Show you on the test sheet how it's related. Your hazard perception is mirrors. So those of you that don't know, when you're clicking on the hazard perception to get your 5s and 4s, that click is you checking your mirrors live on that video. So if you go to box 14, use of mirrors before you signal. It's actually frozen. Let me come out of that. Come back in. So when it comes back up, box 14, use of mirrors before you signal, change your direction and change your speed. So that's the videos. On the video, you don't see the car signaling. You're just looking at the window. And what you're looking for those of you that were struggling with the clicks, you're looking for anything that's going to cause you to slow down or change direction. So in other words, if it's going to be a problem and causing you to slow down or change direction, then you want to be clicking. And the way you want to be doing it is click twice per problem. So you see the problem, you click once, and then you go 1, 2, and you click again. I think it was Christopher that asks, is there a method of clicking? That's the way you do it. You see the problem that's going to cause you to slow down or change direction, which means move left or right, because that's your wing mirrors you'll be checking, and you click twice. You click and you go 1, 2, and then you click again. And that's how you do it. But you have to click on things that exist. If you're just clicking on random stuff that's never going to cause you to slow down or change direction, you may end up with too many clicks, and then you're going to get a 0. So hopefully that makes sense. I just got this comment in here. How many times that's supposed to be click in hazard awareness, hazard perception, you mean? First of all, if you're counting the clicks and worrying about how many clicks, you're thinking the wrong way. You're probably going to fail it. You should not be worrying about how many clicks per video. Every video is different, so there's no set number. So it's not like I can say to you 12 clicks for every video. Some videos will allow you 12, some will allow you more, because obviously there's a lot more hazard going on. But if you are thinking about how many clicks you are allowed per video, it's the wrong mentality. The chances are you're going to fail. In my experience anyway, when I'm teaching someone, oh, you can only click 10 times because someone told me that. Now, if you've done 10 clicks and the hazard's right at the end of the video, your brain won't allow you to click again because you just told yourself click 10 times, which you've already done, which means you're going to get a 0 because the hazard was at the end. That's why you don't count the clicks other than the 2. Let's just do this first. Sam Travers. Sammy, appreciate it. That's in that love to everybody. You guys are putting your scores in, so let me give you credit for that. 15, 19, Lucy. Just coming to here to say they don't give you a copy of this. They just tell you what minors you get, if any, and what area. They do give you a copy. They email it to you. They discuss it in the car with you if you want to. It's called a debrief. So the examiner will ask you, do you want to know why you didn't pass? You should say yes. Call your instructor over so the instructor can listen in as well. And then they'll explain to both of you and they email it to you. So check your email if you didn't get a copy. They have to by law. And that's what you and your instructor will work on for the next test if you failed it. So far passed hazard perception twice. I'm assuming you've passed hazard perception, but you're missing out on the questions. Done the click. I click 5 per problem. Yeah, of course, if you're clicking 5 per problem and there's 6 problems on there, that's 25, 30 clicks. That's way too much. And now 5 clicks may be allowed, not too much. Right. Sorry, for me personally, it's the way you guys are thinking. Why are you worried about how many times you're clicking? Even if you, right, let's just argument's sake, right? Before I did a demonstration, sorry, let me come back to the comment. Let me do this first because I need to focus. Argument's sake, let's just say it's a video. It has 10 clicks, right? And you click 10 times, right? Which means you didn't click too many times. You still could end up with a 0. It's not about the clicks you do. It's about getting a score for your clicks. So like I said, you can click 10 times, still get a 0. You can click twice, still get a 0. You can click twice and still get a 5, which I'll demonstrate for you. It's not about how many times you click. Change your mindset. It's not about the amount of times you click. It's about getting a score for your click. I'll do a demonstration with that in a minute. But let me just do these comments quickly. Don't worry about the amount of clicks. Change the mindset. Get a score. They didn't email me any score sheet when I passed, and I don't know anyone else who has either. Wow. What area are you taking your test in? If my students pass or fail, my students get a copy of it. Because if my students fail their driving test, I get a copy of the, well, they get a copy because it's emailed to them. It's data protection. So it goes to them. Then they email it to me, and that's what we work on for the next test. So how, I'm not sure why that is, unless it's going to your spam, you haven't checked it. But it's law. They have to email you a copy of it so you know what to work on for your next test. Right, I've done that one. Confused about the double. I shall show you in a minute. Good morning. My partner is asking the right answer for question. If a person has an object stuck in their wound, what should you do? He choose stop the bleeding. Yeah, but how are you stopping the bleeding? That would be the question. How are you stopping the bleeding? There's two ways of stopping the bleeding. Obviously, one's correct. One is taking out the sharp object and then squeeze tightly, which is wrong. You leave the object in the wound, so it's blocking the hole, and then squeeze tightly or squeeze firmly. Right, so let me do a demonstration. I'll plug in my wires. Hold on 1 second. I need to do it on my phone. Plug that in. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do fairy test. Let's get the app up first. I'm going to do 2 clicks. So as I said, it's not about it's not about how many times you click. That you need to change. It's about getting a score for your click, because you can click as many times as you like, but if you don't get a score, you are going to get a 0. So I'm going to just do 2 clicks for this video and see what happens. So I'll tell you, I'm going to talk out loud so you know where I should be. I should be clicking for the road sign, the 20 miles an hour, sorry, 30 miles an hour. I don't want to be speeding up. Speeding up if someone's about to overtake me. Brake lights, if he's slowing down, I should be clicking on that. The blue shop on the corner, there's no one coming out the giveaway lines. The road to my left, no one's coming out. And the petrol station, nobody's coming out. Look in the distance, the black and white poles. I could click for that, but I'm not going to click for that. The woman in the blonde hair near the crossing. So just 2 clicks for that video. And then the road just past the bus stop. There's no one coming out of there, so I don't need to click. 3 out of 5. Let me just quickly show you. 3 out of 5. Review it back. I'm going to speed up the video. So I got a score, just 2 clicks. That's all that matters. Like I said, I got a score for that. So whether I click 10 times, which I'll show you again on the video, whether I click 10 times, 5 times, it makes no difference. It's about you getting a score. That's your aim, is to get a score, not to count the clicks. As I said, if you know what the problem is, then it shouldn't be a problem. But you guys are thinking about how many times you should be clicking all the rest of it. So let me just go over these comments. You passing the theory test? No, you get the paperwork in your hand. I'm not sure if you get an email. I don't know if they still email you. Didn't know they email you in the first place, but you get the paperwork as you walk out of the test, and a pass or fail, because that paperwork, if you pass it, it's got some numbers on there. Let me come out of this. It's got some numbers on there that you can, you use to book your driving test. So they give it to you physically. They don't email it to you, as far as I'm aware. your driving test report sheet by email to you. So I don't know if that's what you meant. All right, let me do another demonstration, show you how it should be done. Right, so I got 3 out of 5 on that one. This is how it should be done. I'm going to do the same video, but this is how it should be done. So this is how I would do it if I was in the test. Speed limit sign, click in. As I said, I don't want to speed up if someone's going to overtake me and take the space. Brake lights. He slows down, I need to slow down. Remember, it's anything that's going to call you to slow down or change direction is what you want to be clicking on. Blue shop on the corner, no cars, no bikes, don't need to click. Scanning the road from left to right. When you're driving, you should be looking as far down the road as possible, scanning from left to right. This is what you do in the car when you're driving real. Black and white poles in the distance, zebra crossing, so click. Is anyone walking nearby? A woman in the blonde hair. But that's the one that's caused me to slow down. Because there's 2 types of hazards on the video. They should tell you this as well. It's potential and developing. Potential could be a problem. You click. That's what I clicked on just now. And the developing hazard is the one that causes you to slow down or change direction. And the difference is, like I said, look, 5 out of 5. Because now I'm clicking on potential problems and developing problems. There's 2, let me come out of this again. I repeat, there's 2 hazards on the video, 2 types. 1, potential, it could have been a problem. And 2, the developing one. And if you're clicking on both types, you stand a chance of getting a better score. That's why I got 5, because I clicked on the zebra crossing, the black and white poles in the distance. Whereas the 2 clicks, I just clicked for the woman. And that's the difference between passing and failing. Let me see if there's any questions on that. Right, let me do another real life clip. Someone's mentioned about the double. I think it's Christopher. If I can find a double one here. Right, let's do this one. Share my screen. So, number 74, if you can see it there, is real life. All right, so they're emailing you now. That's fine. No problem, but they give you the paperwork physically because you need to take that to your driving test as well, just in case to do a spot check on the day of a driving test. So you got it both. All right, so let me do this 74. No stars. I've got to download it. That's what the arrow. So I've not seen it before, so I'm doing it live, literally. Confirm. Downloading. And then we're going to practice. So there's a car parked up on the left. So the reason why I'm clicking on that because I'm gonna go for 3 clicks. Because I can't be a meter from the curb, so I'm gonna have to come out to the right. Again, looking ahead. I can't see around the bend, so you should be what if something's around the bend. Again, another car's parked up. Oh, that's a 0. And I'll also add with the real life clips, it's hard to see the problem. But on the David test, it's all CGIs. 7 out of 10. Let me just show you so I'm not cheating here. Back at that. 7 out of 10. Let me get rid of this and review it back to see how you can improve. So I'm going to speed it up to save time because all the others. So the reason why I'm clicking on the cars because remember you're a meter from the curb when you're driving, but I can't be a meter from the curb if the car's parked up. So I have to change direction by coming out to the right. So you check your right door mirror. To the bend, I can't see around the bend. Always what if there's something around there. That's why you click. And that's the reason why you go for 2 clicks. So that's the 2 clicks for the bend and then the 2 for the car. And then I've done it really badly on the motorbike. I couldn't see the motorbikes coming down. It's only now I saw the motorbikes. But the CG, like I said, the real life clips, only now I can see it. I still can't see it clearly, but I can see it there just about. Hopefully you guys can see that. But like I said, I can't see the motorbike, so I can't click for something I can't see. So hopefully that made sense to you guys with that. But that's real life clips. Let me just make sure there's no comments coming through. So let me just see this. You are welcome. I scored 33 out of 50, more than 60. What can I do, sir? You're back to basic. If you're getting 33 on a real test, that's a lack of knowledge. That's 17 questions wrong for a real test. That's a lack of knowledge. You're back to square one. So what you need to be doing with that is go back to the categories, because there's a lack of understanding there. Hazard perception's fine, but there's lack of understanding. So that's what I would suggest you do on that one. All right, let me, there's no other comments. Let me do a real life, sorry, CGI, because crystal clear. Let me get rid of it so you guys can see what I'm doing. So a bend, can't see around the bend. Always what if, check your mirror. The hump bridge, can't see the other side of it. Another bend, what if something's around there. National speed limit, 60, no it's not, national speed limit is 50, 60 miles an hour single, 20 miles an hour. Can't see around the bend, change of speed, so I'm going to click on that. And then you should be scanning the road from left to right, right to left. All the cars are on their side of the road. If the car was over the white line, then I would think about clicking on it. Because it's on their side of the road and the pedestrians are on the pavement, not near the edge, I don't need to click. That's awful. 6 out of 10. So I'll tell you what, let me move myself out of the way so you can see it. Hold on 1 second. Where are we? Let me come this way. So 6 out of 10 on that one. So there's room for improvement. So let's take a look at how I could improve. At this point with a double, 6, remember you need 3 on average across the board. So I'm still averaging my 3 because I got 6. Ideally on your double, you want an 8 or a 9 with that one. So I'm not too far behind where I need to be. So the hump bridge. All right, so look, there you go. That's where you go for 2 clicks. Oh, let me pause it. Let me get myself out of the way first. Hold on 1 second. Let's move myself up so you can see. Right, so you're going to see me click early here. That's why you go for 2 clicks. So there's the first click. You just missed the 5. And the second one landed in the 3. And I can't stress enough, this is why you go for 2 clicks per problem. Make sure you get a score. Oh, look, there you go again, too early. So this one was too early. So you can see it there. And my second click landed in the 3. They'll always give you the high score. They're not going to downgrade you. And that's the reason why you go for 2 clicks, just in case the first one was early, because it's about getting a score, not the amount of clicks you do. It's about you getting a score. That's all that matters. Because if you click X amount of times and get 0, it means nothing. It's pointless. So hopefully that made sense. Let me come out of that and just see what you guys are saying. Type in the comment section to let me know if that made sense to you guys. So Christopher comes to mind. I've got your comment here. So you now know about the countdown window. Just make sure you're clicking twice, but not click. It's literally click, 1, 2, click again. And I'm just showing you why, because I clicked too early on both of those. If I left it like that, it's a 0. But like I said, you have to understand what a hazard is first. A hazard is going to cause you to slow down or change direction. I don't see any other comments or questions coming through, so I'm assuming that you guys are happy with that. And if that's the case, then so 2 clicks is better than 3 clicks. Yes, because if you're doing 3 clicks per problem, it can take you over the amount of clicks you're allowed per video. But I will stress, if you think you've messed up on one particular problem on the video, I will still go for a third one just to make sure you get a score. What I mean by that, I'm not saying do 3 clicks for every problem. If I think I've messed up, I'm still going for a third click on that problem because it's about me getting a score. I'd rather get a 2 or a 1 rather than the 0, because a 2 or 1 still keeps me near my average of 3. Whereas if I get a 0, I've got to find an extra 3 from somewhere, if that makes sense. So if I got 0 on one video, I need to find an extra 3 points somewhere along the line. Whereas if I got a 2 or a 1, I've got to find an extra 2 or a 1 of some point, which is easier to make up. So I repeat, if you think you've messed up, let's just say you think, oh, I got that one late, click again. It's going to cost you nothing. But do not do 3 clicks per problem all the way through the video. You're running the risk of going too much and get what they call cheat detected. They're thinking you're spamming. So hopefully that makes sense. Yeah, Christopher, practice. You're at home. So getting a low score at home doesn't mean anything. What you want to practice is trying to perfect your art. I hate using the word perfect, but you're trying to perfect your art in terms of when to click. So I repeat, you're looking for stuff that's going to call you to slow down, change direction, and you're just trying to practice your art of clicking at the right times in that countdown window. So it's going to be trial and error. So like I did, review it back, see how you can improve. 4-in-1 driving test success. That's the one I recommend. The paid version, $4.99. So use the driving test success, otherwise known as the 4-in-1 app. I'm glad it helped you out. Let me know how you get on. If you come back next week and let me know how you get on. But I can't stress enough as well, not just about the hazard perception, about the questions. You guys are practicing. Practice makes you better. So you're not going to practice and get 50 out of 50 every single time. You're not going to practice and get, 60 odd on your hazard perception every time. You're going to learn from mistakes. You learn more from making mistakes. In other words, you're going to learn more from getting things wrong, providing you learn from mistakes. What you guys are scared to do is making mistakes. That's not human nature. We all make mistakes. That's life. So you get better by making mistakes and learning from it. So when you're doing your questions, getting it wrong, don't beat yourself up over it. Work out and understand why why you got it wrong in the first place. That's the way I do it in the boot camp. When someone chooses the wrong answer, I don't go to the right answer. This is the answer. You know what? Unmute yourself in the Zoom session. Explain to me why you went for that, and we change the way of thinking. And then I break it down why the answer is correct. So you have to learn why you got something wrong. That sticks with you more than why you got it right. And hopefully that makes sense. So don't be afraid to make the mistakes at home and improve. That's what this Sunday session is about. You guys revising on a weekday. Any questions, any doubts, bring it along on a Sunday and let me clear it up to you personally, because you are asking me the question personally. If I just give out the videos, it's a generic video for everybody. But when you ask me a personal question, I'm answering it to you personally, because we all learn differently. Chidi, you have a great day too. Appreciate the words. Clifford, you're welcome. And you to revise. So hopefully you guys got something from that. Hopefully I'll see you guys next Sunday. For those of you who got a test, because quite a few of you got a test tomorrow and Tuesday, and for those of you who got their test the rest of the week, I wish you the best of luck with that. Remember, take your time. Most importantly, read the questions very carefully, read the answers very carefully. If you're feeling stressed when you're in there, take a deep breath. Just sit back, take a deep breath. Don't try to answer the questions through your panic and your stress. The brain will just go for an answer just to get it out and go back to a comfort space. But I wish you guys the best with that. Please come back next week. Let me know how you got on. But enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy your week. But most importantly, keep yourself safe. And so I can see you guys next week. Take care. Have a good one.